Welcome to the Fox's Den. This is the kitchen segment, and today we were invited to my friend Chip's house, and we're in his kitchen cooking up something special.
Hi, I'm Chip. I'm Roxanne's friend, and it's summertime. And in Hammonton, New Jersey, where we're from, summertime means blueberries. And I'm filming this from my parents' house, which is next to a blueberry farm. And we got these fresh blueberries, and I'm going to make crustless blueberry pie. I'm a pretty good cook, and I make a pretty good pie crust, but for some reason, I just can't make a blueberry pie. I don't know if I'm afraid of the cornstarch. For whatever reason, I've never been able to make a good blueberry pie. My mom was. So I found this recipe on Facebook. My good friend Sandra Thompson posted it yesterday. And I said, gee, that looks good. And I had all these blueberries. And I decided to make it. And I made one yesterday. And we had some company last night. And I'll show you later how there was almost none left. It was a big hit. So what you need, and Roxanne will post the recipe, pretty simple recipe, 2 cups of blueberries, fresh, preferred from Hammonton, New Jersey, preferably, that's the best. Cup of flour, cup of sugar, a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a little bit of extra sugar, a little bit of extra bananas, 2 eggs, and 1 stick of butter.
Oops, that was blueberries.
I heated the oven to 350, and that seems to be going well. I'm going to melt the butter. This recipe surprised me because it called for melted butter rather than softened butter. I took their word for it and I did it. So I'm going to put this in the microwave for 15 seconds, see how it comes, and we'll take it from there. Okay, so our butter is melted. I'm going to give it a second to cool because we have to mix the eggs in it. You don't want your eggs to scramble if the butter's too hot. So meanwhile, I'm going to spray a 9-inch pie plate. I don't love the commercial baking sprays, but I'm not in my own kitchen and this is what's available. Typically I'll get a spray bottle, fill it up 7/8 of the way with canola oil and the rest of the way with vodka, and that's what they tell you to do. I don't know who they are. And if you're like me and don't drink, the alcohol cooks out, so it's not a big deal. So I'm giving this a good spray because I don't want anything to stick. And the homemade doesn't have the aerosols. As we go on, you'll see I don't really like a lot of processed things. I like to go natural as much as I can. So I'm going to take the 2 eggs. This is a plastic pitcher, so I'm not going to crack the egg on that because it'll take me forever. This is my mother's Pyrex bowl, probably from the 50s. She has 2 of them, and whenever I bake here, I try to use it. I feel like I'm channeling my mother. And I'm wearing her apron. And this is her kitchen, So I'm going to whisk this together so it becomes nice and smooth. And then the recipe also calls for a teaspoon of vanilla and a teaspoon of almond extract, or to taste. We don't have any almond extract. It's not the end of the world. I was going to squeeze a lemon into it, but I decided not to. Now this is vanilla. Looks like a big brown bottle of Kettle One, and it is, or it was. I went to Atlantic Spice Company in Truro, Massachusetts. It's Truro, Massachusetts. It's the next town over from where I live. There's this great spice store, and they sell everything, and it's not processed. And so I bought vanilla beans, sliced them open so seeds are exposed. Put them in the vodka, let it sit for 6 weeks, give it a good shake before you use it, and this is better than anything you can buy. They also sell their own vanilla, which is really good, but I like to make this, and I'm just going to do a splash. It calls for a teaspoon, but that's why I don't do a lot of baking, because I don't like to be bound by recipes. So you whisk this up real good. Then meanwhile, you take the sugar, the sugar, the flour, and of course I did it the opposite way I said it, the cinnamon and the salt, and don't think I set my ingredients out like this every time I bake. I don't. I saw Ann Burrell do this on the Food Network, and I thought that's a really good idea. It saves on cleanup, and you don't have bags all over the place. Usually at the very least I try to have my stuff out. I don't put it in bowls because it's just something else to clean. You mix this together and it gets to a nice, when it has that consistent spread of the cinnamon, you can tell how that works. And that's all worked together. Then you get the wet ingredients, which is basically the butter and the eggs, and you pour the wet into the dry, which is not typical, but it seems to work. Then I'm going to use this rubber spatula to mix it, just to incorporate it. It's going to be a very thick batter, because you want to get everything up off the sides. Get it all mixed, but not overwork it. And it's very, very thick. I don't know if my camera lady can get a shot of this, but look how thick it is.
Wow, it is thick.
Yeah. So then you gently take your blueberries, and it's hard because the batter's thick and blueberries are fragile. You just gently fold them in. Look, and it's like making an omelet. You can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs. You can't make a blueberry dish without popping a few blueberries. And it took a second to do that. So take a look at the consistency of the batter, the distribution of the blueberries. So you have to spread it out in the plate because you don't want to count on it spreading for you because it's so thick. You don't get as much of it. There's no reason you can't get it all out. It's a pretty pliable batter.
Yeah, that came out nice.
Take my whisk and scrape of course if I wasn't on camera I would use my finger. Then I have just another handful of blueberries, sprinkle them over the top. And I don't like to cook, with a lot of artificial ingredients. And I don't like to cook with a lot of sugar, but here we are, it's baking, so you can't really get away from it. I've gained and lost a lot of weight in my life. And I finally come to the realization, and I think medical science has finally caught up to it. Fat is not the enemy, sugar is, because of the way your body processes it. Now, this is dessert, and I'm not going to eat any of it, so I'm putting all the sugar I want on it. But you'll see in some of the other videos we're going to make where I really do try to stay away from processed food, high sugar food. I had a Weight Watchers leader, Pat Cole Timchi, and she used to say, don't eat anything in a box. And she was right, because if you look in the supermarket, the things that are in boxes are processed. Your instant this and your inconvenience that, and the things that are whole, that are blueberries and bananas and nuts and things like that. And I'm not a saint, but you try to be as moderate as you can. So we're going to put this in the oven, and it's 45 minutes. The recipe said less. It said 32, 39 minutes. That didn't work in my oven yesterday. So I'm going to put it in for 45 minutes, and then we'll take a look at it. It's now in the oven cooking. Try not to peak. When you open the oven door, the temperature goes down. That's how cooking times get all askew. So just turn your oven light on, and you can spy on it from there. Every time you open the oven, you're lowering the temperature, you're adding cooking time, and you're risking the fact that it could cook unevenly. Okay, it's been about an hour since this has been in the oven. The recipe called for 40 minutes. And from experience, I knew that it took a little longer. And I don't know if that's the oven I'm using. Just check it after about 40 minutes. I put a butter knife in. Once it comes out clean, it's done. It's, typical baking trope. So it looks great. Just scattering of extra blueberries on top. Look great. You can see the sugar that we poured on top is going to be nice and crisp and crusty and delicious. So this is the Crustless Blueberry Pie. It smells great. It's going to take an hour to cool, then we'll cut it. Great with blueberry ice cream, vanilla ice cream. We have an ice cream place in town that makes fresh blueberry ice cream. Otherwise, I recommend vanilla bean. Let it cool, and enjoy. So this is the one I made yesterday. We had family over last night, and I tried to cut it nice pie shape, but people went crazy. That's all that's left. We had about 17 people here last night, and everybody had at least a taste of it. So it's a success because I've made other things that hung around for a couple days. So I think this is a success, and I think you'll enjoy it.